Welcome back, guys. I'm going to cover the Canon 50D today. I just reviewed the Canon 30D a few days ago, and now I want to take a look at the Canon 50D. It's only 2 years newer than the Canon 30D, but it's quite a big jump. In fact, the 30D that we talked about the other day only had 8 megapixels. The Canon 50D, as you see here, it has 15 megapixels. And we probably shot more weddings with this camera than any other camera we've had at the time. We shot with this one from 2008 to probably 2014. It had a long lifespan, so we've got a lot of pictures that have been taken with this camera, and it's done a fine job. Even being an APS-C, it just does a great job. Now, it's not going to work for video. You don't even want to look at it for video. But for photography, I think it's another jewel. The viewfinder on it is bigger than the 30D, and it does have face detection on it, so that's a big plus for this camera. It's also 15 megapixels on the 50D versus only 8 on the 30D, so that's quite a big jump for only a 2-year gap. The LCD resolution is about 3 times that of the 30D, so as you can tell, Canon made a big jump in a 2-year period. The ISO on this camera will go up to 3200, and you think, well, that's not very high. I know today's modern cameras will go on up to 100, 200,000. But on these older cameras, these older DSLRs, especially the APS-Cs, 3200 would really be pushing it with this camera. I probably wouldn't want to shoot over 1600, and even then I'd probably rather stay at 800. But this is one tough little camera. I've got the battery grip on it. Again, you can put 2 Canon batteries in here and shoot an entire wedding, never have to change your batteries. But again, it's always a good idea to have more batteries because you just never know. But overall, this camera, my wife still uses this occasionally at a wedding because she's a second shooter at our wedding. She loves this camera. I give her the Canon 6D, the full frame, and sometimes she's like, where's my camera? Oh, the camera. So she grabs the 50D and goes back with it because she's used to it. You know, everybody likes what they're used to. This camera is also environmentally sealed, so if you need to get out in the rain, you can do it. Just make sure that your lens is also environmentally sealed, or you'll have no lens left after you're done shooting pictures with the 50D. The dynamic range on this camera is also much higher than on the 30D. The overall color of the camera, the colors that come out of this camera are really good. I can put it up there almost with the same colors as like the Canon 6D. Both those cameras, really, to be older cameras, have great color science built into them. In low light, the camera's going to give you decent pictures. I was talking a while ago about it goes up to 3200. 1600 would probably be as high as I would go, but you can get it done, especially if you have software that you can run it through to get some of the grain out. This is a great camera. It's also a great camera if you want to learn on. The 30D, as I was talking about the other day, is a very cheap camera to learn with. This one is a little bit more. I think I mentioned the other day that the Canon 30D you could get for $50. You can get a 50D for about $125, and you're getting a good bit more of a camera for the difference. So if you're just beginning and you want something a little bit better than the Canon 30D, the 50D is going to be a nice jump for you. It really is. And would I shoot a wedding with this today? Would not be my first choice because of the cameras that I shoot with now, but if I had to, I could do it easy. This camera has shot many weddings. It has been through everything. It's been to multiple countries. It's been thrown on airplanes. It's been all over the place and been through everything you can possibly imagine, and it's still working today. Now, it don't have the flip out screen, as most of your older DSLRs don't, but it will shoot 5.3 frames a second, which for my line of work is plenty. I don't need more than that. So never had a problem with it, just right at 5 frames a second. It's got the LCD screen on top, which is nice, and it's got the button so you can hit the light and see where your settings are in case you're in a dark room at a reception and you have no idea what your camera's set on. Just push the button and it tells you all right there. You don't have to go through any menu or anything setting like that. But the menu on the back is so simple to use. All the 30D, 50D, 60D, all those cameras have the most simple camera menu you're ever going to find in a camera. It's so easy. It's not touchscreen, but it's still so simple and laid out so good, so easy to use. Canon always makes a good menu system. Now, something that you younger guys might not know about, but it has a diopter built into it. Right up here, a little button by the viewfinder. You can roll that. It goes from +3 to -3, and that's very good when you get to be my age, because you'll appreciate that diopter, because, you know, if you're holding up with your glasses and it's all knocking your glasses sideways. So, you know, with the Canon 50D, I'd have no problem making 20 by 24. It's 15 megapixels. It's great. You can even do some cropping with it. You know, megapixels seem to be a little bit overblown in my book. I mean, you know, some of these phones they talk about nowadays have 60 and 80 megapixels, and that's probably true. But what they're not telling you is the sensor size, and the sensor size means more than the actual megapixels. This is an APS-C sensor. It's not full frame, not as big as full frame, but it's bigger than micro four thirds. So when you put a lens on this camera, you're going to get a 1.6 magnification. So if you put a 50 millimeter on here, you're going to get about an 80 millimeter when you go to shoot with it. But it does come in handy if you've got a 200 millimeter on here. You've got, all of a sudden, your lens is now a 320. The biggest problem is going wide. If you put a 24 millimeter on here, you're going to be shooting at about 36, a little over 36 millimeter. But the camera itself, it does a great job. Just lasts, it just goes and goes. It's kind of like the Energizer Bunny. This camera is going to go forever, knock on wood. Hopefully it won't die tomorrow now that I've said that. But with this camera, it's got the focusing system where you line up the dot and then you recompose your shot, or you can use your back button to autofocus, however you want to go about doing your focusing. It's got the hot shoe on top. It's got all the settings on the side. You know, you can hook up the old style sync cords. If you're hooking up the studio lights, it's got one of those you can plug in. Now everything's, you know, transmitters on top of the camera, but if you have old style and you need a PC cord, you can plug it right in here into the side. So this camera does a great job. It's one of my backups I take to my wedding. It's one of the first backups I grab. My main camera is my R6, my second camera is my Canon 6D, and then I go to my 70D and on down the line. But I don't hesitate at all to grab this camera. If this camera is closer to me than another camera, I'll grab this one in a heartbeat and you won't even know the difference. And like I said, I was talking about the color science. The color science in this camera is one of my favorite cameras for color science. It really does a fantastic job. You can shoot raw, you have large raw, medium raw, small raw. You know, I always shoot large raw. I want the highest quality that I can get out of any camera. I never set anything, even if I'm shooting pictures to go on eBay. I've got a friend who shoots a lot of stuff, puts it on eBay. Well, he'll turn it down small, shoot on eBay, and then he'll show up at a photo shoot and forget for the first few pictures that he's still shooting super small, and he'll have to go back and redo those. My rule is keep it set as large as it'll go. I don't care if I'm shooting a picture for eBay, it's going to be shot in RAW and it's going to be shot on the largest setting. Now that's just me. You may do it a different way, but that's what I do to make sure I don't mess up anything. Because, you know, in photography there's always something that can go wrong, so that's just one less problem that I have to worry about, keeping it set on its full size the entire time. The viewfinder in it is optical, it's not digital, which I do like that. It saves batteries, and I just like the optical viewfinder. I think I mentioned I had the APS-C sensor in it, and it does a good job. I don't remember which sensor it is. It does a great, the 4, I'm guessing the Digic 4 sensor. Now, it does not have image stabilization, but a lot of Canon lenses have that built into the lenses. And again, this is not I don't even think it does video, so don't even think about trying to use this camera for video. But if you're looking for a camera to learn on, or you're looking for a backup for your photography, for your event or your weddings, the Canon 50D is a good option. And they are reasonably priced, around $125. That doesn't include the battery grip. You can put any of the Canon flashes right on top, you're good to go. So, hey, if you're looking for a camera to get started, this is a good camera. It's a little bit more expensive, but not much, than the 30D, than the one I reviewed the other day. It's well worth the money. The white balance in this camera, the auto white balance, is amazing. I don't think I ever hardly took this camera off auto white balance. And that's one thing to be said about Canon, is their white balance is really good, and this camera is no exception to that. So, and you can get lenses, now the thing about these APS-C cameras is you want good lenses. Try to get the L series lenses. Like this camera, I used the 24-105 f4 for many, many years. And then I went to the 24-70 f2.8. But just try to keep good lenses on it. Stay away from the kit lenses. They're too slow, and when it's slow, you have to raise your ISO. When you raise your ISO on an older DSLR, you're getting into a lot of grain. So, hey, if you guys have any questions about this camera, just send me an email down at the bottom. I'll be glad to answer your questions. You guys have a great day, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you.